Welcome MRN fans to Defend DPRK Week 3. Now I want to start this week with the claim that 70% of people in the DPRK are addicted to meth. I know that sounds pretty ridiculous and damn near impossible. You see, it begins with the claim that there is drug trafficking in North Korea. Of course, as usual, these sources don't really give anything. However, I am inclined to believe that there is drug trafficking in North Korea because there's drug trafficking in every country. Clearly, ATS from North Korea have become a threat to China in recent years. It is uncertain whether drug trafficking across the North Korea-China border is sponsored by the North Korean government. Now, the link provided in this article by the Brookings Institute doesn't actually work. However, I did find that same report with another link. In the past, citizens of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, DPRK, have been apprehended in international investigations for trafficking in narcotics and other forms of criminal behavior, including producing and distributing counterfeit U.S. currency, including $100 super notes, and trading in counterfeit products such as cigarettes and patented pharmaceuticals like Viagra and Cialis. There have also been reports of the DPRK smuggling ivory from Africa, and this is substantial evidence that North Korean government entities and officials have been involved in the laundering of proceeds of illicit activities, and they continue to be engaged in illegal activities, including activities related to counterfeiting. Though a number of front companies. The illegal revenue garnered from these sources provides desperately needed foreign hard currency for the DPRK economy. The need for foreign currency became especially acute after the June 2009 passage of UN Security Council Resolution 1874. With this report, there's no actual evidence given of the claim. However, I'm not disputing that there's drug trafficking going on in the DPRK, because there is drug trafficking going on in every single country. But what we're looking for here is any evidence that the state is actually involved in it, which it doesn't give. However, I did also find this report. The U.S. State Department's 2010 International Narcotics Control Strategy report says, there is insufficient evidence to say with certainty that state-sponsored trafficking by the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, DPRK or North Korea, has stopped entirely in 2009. Nonetheless, the paucity of public reports of drug trafficking with a direct DPRK connection suggests strongly that such high-profile drug trafficking has either ceased or has been reduced very sharply. Trafficking of methamphetamine along the DPRK-China border continues. There are indications that international drug traffickers can purchase methamphetamine in kilogram quantities in some of the major towns on the Chinese side of the DPRK-China border. Other criminality involving the DPRK territory, such as counterfeit cigarettes, smuggling, and counterfeiting/passing of U.S. currency, super notes, continues. Now, what I could also do is continue by pointing out the fact that the U.S. trafficked drugs in the Iran-Contra scandal. I could point out the fact that they're probably still very heavily involved in cocaine trafficking to this day. I could also point out the very suspicious nature of the appearance of crack cocaine in black communities across the United States in the 1980s. In fact, we could also probably even ask a lot of questions about the production of opium in Afghanistan right now, which skyrocketed after the U.S. entered the country. But that's really a ton of evidence for another video. The main argument here is that 40 to 50 and upwards of 70% of the North Korean countryside is addicted to methamphetamine. Now, this claim doesn't come with really anything. It started from a journal called the North Korean Review. I did contact the author of it and asked him for his evidence, but he wouldn't provide any. Instead, he insisted that I pay for the article instead. But the main argument here is a logical one. Why would the DPRK risk getting so much of its population addicted to methamphetamine? Drugs are harmful. They make for bad workers. Drugged out workers are not very productive workers at all. In fact, they can't think very well. And despite even given all that, the international repercussions of going through and doing all this cocaine, all this drug trafficking would make them look really bad. Not that they would really need it given the insanity of some of the things made up about them. But still, it would make things very difficult for them. So I don't think that that's very likely at all. I mean, there's not any evidence actually really given. I'm sure there is drug trafficking going on, but no real indication that it's actually coming from the government. And on another note, if they were going to engage in specific illegal activity, obviously counterfeit currency would be a much better business to go into. Actually, weapons manufacturing would be even better overall because they do have a great deal of technical capability in that field. So actually, illegal guns would be the best thing they want to do if they wanted to go into criminal activity. And there's one final note I want to make that a friend made for me. The North Korean population is 24.7 million people. 70% of that is 17,332,000. The street value of crystal meth is around $50. Production would be less efficient than the DPRK, so this is a conservative estimate for price. Hence, North Korea spends $1.6 billion on crystal meth. Assuming that the North Korean state planning agencies wouldn't produce that, there would be a $1.6 billion black market in North Korea, which is around 4% of North Korea's estimated GDP. So we can really look at the illogical nature of the claim right there. This does not seem very likely at all. Now let's also take into consideration that there is the death penalty for the trafficking of hard drugs, and supposedly the death penalty for the use of hard drugs in North Korea, which would essentially mean that if this report that so much of the country is actually addicted to meth, that would mean the government would have the justification for murdering more than half of the population, which is no doubt a claim that the people who make up claims like this would also make. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, share on various social media, and if you want, there's some other good videos here you can check out.